This is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Battlestations Dirtside. Battlestations Dirtside is the new, it was a standalone game, but also kind of an expansion or addition to the Battlestations universe, a universe that was created by the designer Jeff Sidek, the guy who runs Guerrilla Games. Jeff is, I'm very pleased to call Jeff a friend. Jeff is one of, in my mind, is an icon of the tabletop gaming world, and like I have been playing Battlestations for a long time. I did a video for like the second edition Battlestation, maybe it was third edition, I don't know. It was like a year and a half ago or so. I'll put the link so you can check that one out. Battlestations is a game that it replicates ship-to-ship combat, but also replicates the stuff that goes on inside of a ship during ship-to-ship combat, meaning that like you are handling damage control, you are repelling alien borders, and basically the whole idea of like Battlestations was like, hey, how can we like play like a space opera type of game and put it in a tabletop world, and a lot of comparisons to like playing a game like Battlestations was like playing a Star Trek are apropos, if you will. So it just seemed natural that they would design, and Jeff would design, Battlestations Dirtside, which is a fantastic way of saying away team. I just love it because basically you're on the planet. So this is going to be a game that you can definitely play the scenarios that are within this as a one after the other, but I think it's going to shine the most if you actually have if you have the original Battlestations that can, you can play like the stuff that happens on the planet, and then you get on your ship and you blast off into space, and then you have a mission in space, and then then maybe go to another planet or a moon or an asteroid or something, and then you land on that. And then you go ahead and have another mission on the planet. Now, this is definitely a game that is going to, one, like it's going to be a pretty encompassing narrative, thematic driven game. It's going to be a thing that, like, because of the fact that Battlestations itself is a game that kind of defies a lot of definition. It is probably, unless you've played it, it's probably going to be a little bit different as compared to like the games that are like happen to be like out and happen to be things that are like what you're used to seeing in the market now. Basically because of the fact that like it combines a lot of different genres, and it's kind of like playing. It's kind of like a really good rule set for like a role-playing game. I mean, I think I mentioned this in my old video, but it's one of those things where like I searched for a good science fiction role-playing system, and it was one that I like. I mean, I played Star Frontiers and Gamma World and Traveler. Just like, I mean, there's tons of them out there, right? But nothing, and even like the Star Trek role-playing game, the Star Wars role-playing game for that matter, but none of them like ever really kind of grabbed me as something that I was like actually able to sink my teeth into. But when I got Battlestations, and this is like the first edition from a long time ago, like I was like, this is what I was looking for. And I actually ran role-playing game campaigns using those rules. Now, you don't have to play a role-playing game with Battlestations. You can definitely just sit down and play like a scenario-driven tabletop board game. But I think the fact that there is the ability to just kind of expand on that and actually have like an even larger and more rich and deeper world using those rules is something that I really enjoy. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So the game itself, like the rules themselves, are extremely straightforward and simple. But it belies a depth, and it belies an ability for the game to create nearly limitless adventures for you and your friends to play, or if you have a game master, like to create for the players to play. So let me show you a very, very basic a tutorial mission, like the very first one the game actually tells you to have. And just kind of speed through that and show you how the mechanisms work, and then I'll come back here and I'll probably just expand a lot more on why I really dig the Battlestations rules and the Battlestations world, but also dig the fact that we finally now have this expansion. And I'm going to call it an expansion. You can, like I said, you can play it on its own, but this is an expansion, a very much needed expansion, in my opinion, to the world of Battlestations. All right, so here we go. Alright, now as I said, I've been a fan and a player of Battlestations ever since like the first edition of the game, and Battlestations is a game that kind of defies a categorization, if you will. It is part miniature strategy tactics game, part role-playing game, part tabletop game experience. I mean, it's kind of like all over the place, but in a good way. It's an amalgamation of a lot of different styles, and it definitely is a product of the time that it first came out. And it is, so in a way, it's a little bit retro and a little bit throwback as well. Now, so I'm going to post a link, as I said, like if you want to go and look at my earlier Battlestations review, you can check that out as well to kind of look at the like the whole process of playing like the actual like spaceship part of it. And I think before I actually just show you some of the mechanisms and whatever, I think you should really take a moment to like really grasp the fact that this is like one of those things where somebody's passion project that they had at some point in their life actually came to reality. And Jeff Syedek, the person behind this and the other games that are in the Battlestations line, are all a product of that, and just a fantastic game altogether. So each one of these games is going to be scenario driven, and I'm going to talk more about the scenarios in my final thoughts, just because of the fact that like you can literally create almost any kind of storyline you want. You can just create it yourself, you can randomize it, you can do whatever, and like I said, I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But this is just like the basic tutorial mission. It just kind of teaches you some real basic mechanisms as far as just the whole process. Now, the core of this game is two dice. Geez, double ones. That's not. I'm glad I wasted that roll right now. All right, so the core of this mechanic is two dice trying to beat a target number. And there will be modifications to that as the game plays, but like, so if you have a situation where it's like, oh, I want to shoot that alien that's trying to kill me, you will look at like the weapon that you have, you'll see like with the damage that it does, but the thing that you're targeting will have a target number to hit, and so you'll roll two dice and like, oh, geez, maybe I'm climbing the ladder, I'll get a 4 with my next roll. But regardless, like you'll apply any modifications that you have, like if for that particular thing, like shooting somebody, range, cover, those sorts of things, plus the skill of the particular person that is shooting. And then if you succeed, then you'll do a result. Now, that's just like combat, and combat, obviously, this is going to be a very big part of the game, but each scenario will be slightly different. Maybe you'll have to like repair something on your spaceship, like that's something you have to do in this particular mission, or maybe you have to like hack into a computer terminal, things like this. Each scenario will be slightly different, and you're going to have to react to different skills and roll dice and apply those particular modifiers, and then achieve results and see what happens. So the basic idea behind this scenario is that our spaceship crew, which is located right here, are just hanging out on the planet, and they're like on this place called New America, which is like basically like think it's a holiday planet, and so they've earned some time off. They're hanging out on the beach, they're swimming in the ocean, having a good time, and all of a sudden like something happens, and and the scenario as it plays out, as you go from this scenario to the next and so on and so forth, it'll tell you, oh, it's like what's going on and what's happening behind the scenes. But right now what's going on is the fact that all of the humans on New America, not these people, have gone crazy, and they want to kill the players. So the players need to get from here, make it over to their ship, which is on the landing platform that's over there, and then you'll notice that this is the bridge. there's that little token on there to show that the bridge has been destroyed and broken. So they're going to have to go in there, fix that, and then lift off to safety before they can be killed off by these rampaging humans with their blaster rifles. So you might notice that there are these little tokens here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every round you're going to be respawning another one of these people that are trying to do in these players. And so this is like, it's because they're on a planet, there's an unending stream of them. So you're just going to be heading them, like trying to race over there, and the whole thing is everybody's got to make it, so that's like kind of the parameters of this particular mission. Now, the way the game works is each character will be designated by a character card. Now, before I show you character cards, I want to point out too, because this is like a part role-playing game, you do get like little character sheets that you can basically create your own character, and then you can actually like level up as things go on, and so you can actually see a progression of your character, like straight out of D&D. And like you will get like levels, and as you gain levels, you will get more powers and traits and abilities and things like that. So you actually will be able to see, like I said, like a progression. You'll be able to follow a narrative, a storyline, if you will. So character cards like this, like here is Kyle Richards, and you can see Kyle Richards is a human. You can see Kyle Richards is an engineer. And then because he's like basically first level, here's his special ability, he has Mr. Fix-It. You may spend from this pool to reroll any attempt to repair or upgrade anything. You may also spend from this pool at most once per phase to attempt to repair as a free action. So like he's, obviously we want to get him over there to fix our spaceship that's over there. So like we want to keep him alive. But more importantly, like you can get their stats. So over here you can see these are their attributes that they're going to be used. These are the modifications that you're going to use to affect things. So if he's in combat, he gets a bonus of +1, but a repair, he gets a bonus of 3. You can see that with the numbers, if you can read those right there. It's a little tough to see. I do apologize for that. I should mention this is a prototype that Jeff was able to send me. So just whereas this is an extremely playable prototype, and it does look nice, better than anything I can make. The final result will be huge and different and what have you. So okay, and then over here we have our stats, like we have our luck. We have this number right here. This is a very important number, like, and you see that is the target number to be able to hit him. A lot of times, like, games like will have things where it's like, oh, my skill in this is a 6. I have to roll higher than a 6 to hit with this. No, it is the target that you're trying to hit. They will have a number that you need to roll that or higher to succeed. This number is incorrect. This number for like their movement, because these cards are from Battlestations, like the spaceship portion. So this is a different scale, if you will. So over here, what you have is like every race moves at a speed of 2, unless there's these cheetoids, basically like these cheetah cats. That will, like, they can move at a 3. So just that one you have to disregard. But you use like the number of hands down here tells you how much equipment that you can have. Your luck gives you rerolls and so forth. And the rerolls can only be used like a certain number, that many times in that particular mission. So you have those abilities. Plus, it should be mentioned that like the color coding is something that I have to mention. So you can see this is a blue color for him. So, and then that means that any blue skill that he rolls, when he rolls that, he's going to get like a reroll. Basically, pick one of the 2 dice that when they roll them to reroll to see if he can succeed again. Plus, there will be like certain spots on like here, like they'll be color coded within the game, like in the spaceship. And I can pick this up and show you. Like the spaceship will have like different colors. So you can see there's blue there on the bottom. So those things will also be color coded, and so to let you know that if like you're using that ability, he's going to get his like free reroll of those too. And I just like the fact that like having things color coded like that is like at a glance type of situation where players will be able to figure it out. Another thing I want to point out, and I did pick like just 4 of these people. So, and then there are like these 4 different classes, and you can see there's yellow, red, green, and blue. And then like you have on the bottom, yellow is our pilot, red is our marine, green is our scientist, and as we said, Kyle, blue is our engineer. So you'll notice like the races, like the alien races, they aren't all like standard. Like, oh hey, we're gonna have an alien race and everything's gonna be a humanoid. You know, it's gonna have 2 legs, it's gonna have 2 feet, and it's gonna have 2 arms and 2 hands, and it's gonna have 1 head. I mean, like, check out this Minution, which is the race here. Like, this little tiny disc, and this is your engineer. This thing flies around and will fight for you. And notice that like it has like a target number of 11 because it's so tiny. I mean, like, but you would never like see something like this normally. I mean, we are so accustomed to just having humanoids be in our science fiction. So I just like the fact that Jeff went outside the box to create these things. And obviously, you get like tons of these, and you'll have all these different options. And as I said, you can just create your own if you wish. Anyway, so there's no way I'm going to be able to talk to you about everything that goes on in any particular scenario. There's so much that goes into effect when you're deciding, like, what you have to do in any particular mission that you're on. But this one's like really, really straightforward. I mean, it's just you need to get here, you need to repair it, and then you need to lift off. I mean, that's and then along the way you're going to have to do battle. So the basic tenet of any game is like, unless you have another player running the bad guys or being like basically the dungeon master, which you can do, but you don't have to. That's one of the nice things about Battlestations. But there is an AI, like, and the AI for this is they're just going to try to get close to us to try to kill us, and they'll be taking every action they're going to possibly take is they're going to try to get to us and to do us in. And I forgot one thing. I apologize for this. Like, so there is, like, everybody's got a health. Like, this is a health of 3, and basically you take that damage. If you take more than that, you get knocked out. If you take 6 more than that, you will, you're killed. So, just keep that in mind. So you need to, like, try to make sure that that doesn't happen. Now, you have medikits and things like that can heal, and obviously those take skill checks and things like that. So just also keep that in mind as well. All right, so basically, in each person's turn, you get to take an action and a move, and you can do the action first and then the move. You can take the move first and then the action. And there's lots of different actions you can do. You can attack people. You can go into Overwatch. It basically means that if somebody gets close to you and within range, you can interrupt their movement to attack them. You can do a sprint, which basically gives you an extra movement. And then there's all the other things that are going to be like scenario driven. Like, are you going to be like, you need to pilot a vehicle? Because there are like cars and bikes and things like that will be in this game. There also will be like things like hacking doors to be able to open them. Like I mentioned before, like using computers, all those things that like, and those all be scenario driven, and they will be directed towards things. Now, I should mention also one of the nice things about Battlestations, and like this game is going to come with a huge rule book. Now, and don't let that impose you, because of the fact that the Battlestations games, the Battlestation rules are very, very, very straightforward as far as making common sense. Like, there's just rules that just like seem to be like if you have a situation, like if you were playing in a world of a science fiction world, if like snow is tough to run through, so like it's not like really archaic rules or things like minutia that you have to remember. It isn't sand also hard to run through. If you're in the water, you have to take an action. You have to take action to swim, so you can actually move, meaning that you can actually take your action. Like if this guy can't, like when he took his action, if we were still there, like he wouldn't be able to. He'd have to take a swim action to move, and then like he wouldn't be able to then try to shoot us with his blast or whatever. Like things that block sight. I mean, buildings are going to block sight. Trees are going to make it tougher to hide because we're going to have cover. Like, so stuff like that where it's, yes, like there's a lot of rules, but it is going to be a very straightforward, very understandable rules set. and like I said, it'll be a common sense type of situation. But anyway, so I mean, I've been talking forever here, and I apologize for that, but I just want to give you kind of an idea of the overlay of the world that you're in and what's going to be happening. Now, so in this particular thing, like sometimes like these buildings will be closed off and you won't be able to enter them, so you'd have to make it to this. But in this particular situation, you are considered to be like, just like finding back doors or crawling through windows or whatever. So you don't have to worry about the walls in this particular situation. So the players, like, can activate in any order, in any single turn. So it adds to the strategy where like you'll be talking, like the 4 people will be playing these, and they'll be saying, okay, I'm going to do this, you do that. And if you don't have 4 people, you definitely can just play this however you want. You can play it solo. You could have 1 player character and then have like 3 allies. You could just have 4 characters. Play the game however you like. You can go however you want to. But in this situation, like you would just go, like you would say, everybody, let's just go. Let's move 2. Let's go like like 1, 2, and then like maybe like we could and then we're all gonna hide in this spot right here. And then we'll like go into Overwatch, so if something does get close to us, we could like fight it. So like everybody agrees to that, so they just move into that situation. Well, actually, that wouldn't work because 1, 2, and then the extra move would be 3. So I can't go into Overwatch. So what? Actually, we could make it here. So like we could go 1, 2, and then as an action to sprint, we could run across to this spot over here. So in this situation, then we would be in a building. Now, of course, they know where we are because that's how it works. But like that would be our turn, and now we'd be hidden in there. But because we're in a building, the people outside wouldn't be able to shoot us. They have to get into the building before they would do that. So then, after everybody has done, what'll happen is that like you'll have to move all your NPCs. So you'll like say, okay, he's taking a swim action, so you just 1, 2, and now this is where you can't cheat and say, oh, the NPCs don't do anything. You have to actually like play them smart, and head them towards so 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, and so they're heading in our direction. Let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like over here, he can just move right through the ship. It's considered to either he's crawling over the top of it or he's crawling through hatchways or whatever. So we could just go like 1, 2, 3, 4. So the humans, they move to, these are all considered to be humans. They move to, and then they sprint to. And so now then it would revert back to our turn. But before we do that, because of the rules of the scenario, we have to spawn a person. So let's see what we get. So we get 4. Oh, another swimmer. That's actually pretty lucky for us. So we're just going to put another person down there. And that's actually, like I said, pretty fortunate, because this person's going to be slowly making their way and not going to be racing over to blast us immediately. So now with the next round, we're going to have to try to decide what we're going to do as far as, because we knew we have, one of these enemies who's going to be showing up. And you could say it's only one enemy, we can just race over there and probably like blast away or whatever. But, remember, if like all of us have to survive here, so we'll like take it easy and then think again, like how do we want to handle this? Like we could, still move within these buildings, and like put maybe like if we just all move to this spot, like so, remember 2 spaces, so like 1, 2 like that, and then we could take the action of Overwatch, and the nice thing is that these think like 28 days later. I mean, these people are crazed. They're not going to have really good ideas of like strategy and tactics, so they're just going to race in and try to get us. So we'll go ahead and move. So like, let me just move the other ones here quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. These guys are just gonna 1, 2, and then 1, 2 swimming, and then and now we'll show you like 1, 2, 3, and I should mention that these spots, that the spots on the board can have 2 vehicles or 4 people on them. After that, they're full. So that particular crazed human can't actually enter into the spot. But now, because they've come into the building and we can see them, we now get to blast away. So let's just actually take our Marine first. And so so this person has a 3. For their ability. So we have no range, no cover, no nothing. So they're right next to us, and so it is an 8 to hit human, and we're gonna get a bonus of 3 to our roll. So we'll see if we get lucky here. Oh, well, there we go. See, we did climb the ladder. I mean, it didn't roll a 4, but so we did really, really well. We've hit, and so a blaster does 2d6 minus 1 damage, plus these humans have 1 armor, so whatever we roll is going to be, and we want to get 4 points of damage. 4 points of damage will, that's just standard human. So so what we want here is we want at least a 6 on this roll. Let's see what we do. Oh, okay, that we did 8, and so that would be down 2. So boom, we knock this one unconscious, and they're knocked to the ground. And that's, I mean, okay, and that's how these like particular rolls are just going to be. Like you're just going to roll 2 dice and see how we could do. So now we would do a spawn, and so we would spawn one down here in the desert, and just go ahead and put them there. And I mean, and that isn't technically a human, but you understand. And so now, like, the next round of them. Now, like, as I said, this is a really basic scenario. I mean, eventually what's going to happen is, and, like, I'm not going to walk through every step here. Eventually what's going to happen is we're going to get our players over here. And eventually, I'm probably, like, just as far as the rolls go, we're going to be surrounded by these crazed humans that are like racing through our ship and trying to destroy us. Maybe like over here we have our marine like trying to do that. We have our pilot in there waiting to lift off. We've got our engineer in there trying to. I lost my green, and I do like the bases. I like the fact that we have once again that color coding, even though I did lose that one. We have our humans, our stalwart adventurers would be in there trying to fight off these crazed humans. But eventually what will happen is that we'll have, the pilot's like, fix the thing, and the engineer's like, I'm trying, and so we would have a roll. And I'm going to cheat here, and we're going to, like, roll poorly. So maybe we rolled like that as the engineer trying to fix the problem. And so that would not be good enough. But because they're the engineer, that's where the reroll comes into a play, where, we'd have, like, be able to reroll that 1, and then we'd get high enough roll, and so then on that turn, we'd be able to remove the damage, like so, pretty easy. So then we'd fix the bridge and be able to take off. And if, like, we had timed it well, like, both of them had ended up into that spot, and or maybe it was bad luck, where it would be like one of those things where, okay, let's just say that. So like the pilot in this situation, the pilot had just entered that room, can't take the action, can't take a roll to try to lift off. So we have like one, like a situation where we're gonna actually have to deal with these things fighting and killing us. So we get blasted. So let's see, they have blasters as well. So they're shooting over here to here. Let's just see if they get lucky. Oh man! Of course I roll well. So they would hurt my person. They would be 7 to 6. Oh my gosh, that'd be enough to knock them unconscious. Okay, that's actually okay. That's fine. So like the blaster would be like a -1 for damage, -1 for the armor, so it'd be a 6 total. But remember, our marine Haley Bailey here does not have, like, it only has a 3 health. So like if they were fully healthy in that situation, they'd be knocked down to -3. If they took 3 more points of damage, they'd be dead. That wouldn't be good, So like and so like here we'll do an attack over here, and like maybe like they'd say, well, we attack the engineer because of the fact that they don't want us to be able to save. So and luckily humans have a few more hit points. So let's just see if we actually get a hit. Target number of 8. Oh my god, they got it. So, alright, let's see. Humans have 8 health. I'm just gonna, of course, now I'll probably roll boxcars again. So, 2d6 -1 or -2. So, as long as I don't roll a 10, I'm fine. Yes, okay, so that'd be like 2 points of damage. Kyle would shrug it off, and then, oh, no, wait a minute. No, they shoot the pilot. What's our pilot health? Here we go. The pilot health is a 6. Oh, and actually, wait a minute. Like elusive, force opponents to reroll 1 die in a personal attack skill checks against you. So like that could have affected that roll, but whatever. I mean, so like possibly could have missed. But that's the Lapinoid ability, is that they're all like twisty and turny, and they can avoid damage. But regardless, now the pilot, like on the next turn, we would roll to see if we took off, and that would be like takeoff is like a 4. So like pilot takes off, and then our ship would take off into the outer space, if you will, and they would then because we left the planet, even if like some of these had boarded and they were like fighting us, it is considered that like the scenario actually says like the craziness that's affecting them on the planet stays on the planet. So you take off and they're all like, oh my gosh, what happened? And maybe if that's the cool thing too. Like in a role playing game, it's like, oh, are you guys like the good guys, or are you like pirates? Do you take revenge on these hapless people or whatever? You never know. But then we'd be able to use the onboard sick bay to take our Marine and heal them up so they'd be okay. And then we'd just move on to the next scenario, which would like further this story and we'd be able to find out more. So, as I said, this game is not like it has a lot of rules, but it doesn't, if that makes sense. Because, again, you are just going to be resolving all of your actions with 2 dice, and you're going to be just seeing if those happen or not. And where this game shines is the fact that you have a group of people, or if you're playing by yourself, you have tactical and strategic decisions to make every single turn, trying to determine what exactly you're trying to achieve, and what you're what the scenarios have put out in front of you to do. And you can go, and they are tough. I mean, like later on, I'll show you like the rules I have in like the scenario booklet here in my final thoughts. But as this goes on, like it ramps up the difficulty. You have missions where you got to rescue people. You have missions where you have to like go and find like a certain piece of technology and achieve that. And they're all over the place. And anything you can kind of dream up of, like that exists in this. This is, for lack of a better terminology, Star Trek the game. You can combine this with Battlestations, the base game. So like now, when we take off, now you have a scenario that is about being on your spaceship and flying to another planet to find out what exactly happened here. Or maybe you found out that this is happening on another planet and you're flying there to try to save those people, or and so on and so forth. So like this is like ship-to-ship combat with the Battlestations, the base game, and it is like this is the away team type of thing where we all know and love with our classic Star Trek as well. And the reason I mention that is because I mean, if you have Battlestations, this is going to be a great thing to add to it. And if you don't, right now on the Kickstarter, you can get like the whole thing. You can get everything that exists for Battlestations, and you be able to play out all of your fantastic sci-fi squad-based Star Trek-esque like battles, missions, adventures that you've always wanted to do on your own. But let me talk about that and a whole heck of a lot more in my final thoughts. Alright, so thank you very much for watching that portion of the video. And I do, like I said, I do apologize that it seems like it's a very abridged scenario, and it seems like it's not really much to it. But I think that's just there for people that aren't familiar with the system, aren't familiar with like the Battlestations world and the original game, to just get their toes wet and to like figure it out. And it really is, like a squad, tactical, miniature combat 101. And which is not a bad thing. I mean, it's still a cool scenario. It's still like, I mean, admittedly, like the first time I played it, like I kind of breezed through it, like when I played with my buddies, because we just got really lucky with the spawn locations over and over again. But I mean, I went back and I played it again with my kids, and like we lost. I mean, like one of my kids, like their person got killed, and so we had to restart it and play again. So I mean, it wasn't like it's easy. It's just it doesn't really have the depth of like having all the other things that you possibly can have, like mysteries to solve and things like that, or like items to track down or whatever. Now I wanted to show you this. So this was the rules that I was given for this game, and admittedly, I had a bit of a bonus because of the fact that I had played Battlestations before and I had played it for a long time. So like the tenets of the game, as far as like understanding how certain things move and go and roll or whatever, like definitely did not have like a lot to them, if you will. like as far as like challenging me with the learning curve. But I will fully admit, I was a little bit intimidated by the fact that this thing was as huge as it was. Now, and this is, I mean, this is, for what I understand, this is like, almost all the rules that are going to be involved. Now, obviously, it isn't going to be one-page typing paper. It'll be in a book, a hardcover book that'll be like something that you'll be able to, and probably have an index and things like that. But it is really cool. But the one thing I wanted to show, and of course I have to find. So there is like certain skills and abilities here. Like I'm just gonna read through this. So like remember I said there's like tons of different rules and everything like that. Like here I'm just turning this. Landing in forests. Like if you land in a forest, note that you suffer 1d6 damage for landing in a forest space, regardless if you suffer damage from falling. Meaning that like once again, I'm talking to you when I mentioned those like rules just make sense like that. Like if you are parachuting in, or your spaceship lands in a forest, or any of those things, like it makes sense, right? You're smashing through trees or whatever. It's just a rule that makes sense. It doesn't like betray the verisimilitude of the game at all. But anyway, so here we're just gonna like here's things that you can use science skill for, and these are just like a list of the rules. DEMP. Science versus 11. Success removes the EMP effect from you or an adjacent target or space. De-ionize with a medikit. Science versus 11. Success removes all ionization markers from you or the adjacent target. Heal with a medikit. Science versus 11. Heals the target, removing 1d6 damage. Detox with a medikit. Science versus 11. So you can see where I'm going with this. Hacking uses science. Like that's a science level of 11. Then, like, you have other things, like you can, like, generic skills, like assist. You can make a skill check of 8 in the relevant skill to assist another character in your same space in their action that they take using the same skill. So, like, if you have your engineer trying to repair that, and, like, you want to use, like, another character in that same spot, maybe not really good with engineering, but you can just take a shot at it. You don't have anything else to do, okay, I might as well just try to assist you. Basically, you're handing your engineer the screwdrivers. Yeah, or whatever. But I mean, like, you can roll a die, and this is another one of those things, too, where I should have mentioned, like, you never feel like you're doing nothing. Like, okay, I'm the Marine, I'm good at blasting things, but all of a sudden there's nothing to blast anymore. Oh, I can use an assist skill to help out. I don't feel like I'm doing nothing in this. To prepare, you sacrifice your action in order to reduce the difficulty of your next action by 1. So then, if you're going to be shooting the next round, that's something you can do. You can use a prepare action. Again, things that you can do that make it feel like you're not just doing nothing, right? And I should mention as well, the designer and the writer for the rules, and I don't know if they're one and the same or whatever, they definitely have a sense of humor. And as you read through this book, it is also, that's very throwbacky in a way too, because I remember like reading my old Car Wars rules and stuff like that, which, this game, weirdly has like kind of the same rules as Car Wars. Roll 2 dice, see if you beat the roll. But regardless, like it's one of those things where like they have little jokes about disintegrations and things like that, and just all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Okay, so there was one thing, like I said, I wanted to get to, and I'm trying to find the page here. Just give me a moment. This is going to be like the campaign system, about how you will actually be rolling up like random campaigns as far as like what will happen. So the game actually says like if you want to do your next and I should mention like there are like giant, and you probably can't see this, but like they're giant lists of the different races as well, and that's just like one page of them. Like the Avianoid, it gives you your basic stats, and it says wings. You get 1 free jet move per action that doesn't require a skill check. You may take any other moves as jet moves. So like basically jet moves are faster. Like Crocodilian, like has patient. You can bite. You have 1 point of natural armor. You can move in water as part of a move action. So different things. So when you create your own character, you can definitely like use those things. And again, this is one of those things where like if it makes sense, the game has it in it, and it just goes. All right, so here, this is that's the list of all the different weapons that you can have. I apologize. I'm trying to. Okay, so here we go. there are like so also throwbacky is that like a lot of games in the past and still today use like 2d6, but like you use two different color of 2d6. So like you use like a white one and a black one, and then like you just like a percentile dice, you say like the first die is like the tens and the second die is the ones. And so like if you roll a white 2 and a black 6, that would be number 26. And so what will happen is that you will roll those, and then depending upon what you roll, like it'll determine certain things, where it'll determine different like planets that you possibly land on. It'll determine the scenario that you're running. And so now I like here in the back, and once again you're probably not gonna be able to tell, but there's lists of all these different scenarios. So like 22 is in surgical strike. The research facility on this planet is building weapons of mass destruction that violate the Zolan Compromise. You must go in and plant bombs to destroy the infrastructure and end the threat. Plant bombs at specific locations and give the signal to detonate them. And then you have to do that, and everybody has to survive. And then there's this like list, and I'm gonna read this one. I'm not gonna go through every single one, but this is just like you can say, oh, let's just see what we're gonna have today, and roll one of these, and then you're gonna have this as a scenario. So it requires 5 scans per location to find each location to plant the barrel-sized bombs. After being properly planted, they can be detonated with an automatic action from any battle station aboard your ship. The detonation will trigger a shutdown of the planet's infrastructure and end any threats to the heroes. Take as many bombs as you want. They have parachutes. You may place them anywhere in your ship and or on your character, including in hand or in a vehicle. Place the ship over the city. It requires an engineering check of 11 to plant a bomb. Toolkits help with this check. Grunts, which are your enemies, will ignore the bombs. If bombs are hit with a 6 damage die, they will be destroyed and generate an explosion in their space. 2d6 minus 2 damage to all occupants and a broken marker on any building or vehicle. So, like, that is like the bare bones, but all of those things, like the special rules that are incorporated with that, they are like, once again, make sense. You shoot a bomb, it explodes, you know, and it does damage to everything around here. Here on 33, it is heavy water. There is value water in the city of the planet. We need you to land in the water, open the doors to soak in some, and then leave. Flood modules of your ship with water and leave the atmosphere, and you have to do this without killing anybody. Ship begins play in the atmosphere. There are weapon installations on the planet, each manned in addition to whatever random threat is determined. So there's another roll table where you roll and have a random threat on the table. Place these weapon installations around the target water board. You must land the ship in water. Select a water board at random as the target board. Replace the center board if needed. Take an automatic action to open the door to let the module in the adjacent door fill up and leave. Modules that are full are considered slagged for moving and acting purposes in them unless the character is aquatic. Each flooded module adds 1 to helm maneuver difficulties. Yeah, and that's just another thing. I'm going to do one more at random here. So let's see here. Okay, Gauntlet. Drop in on board number 1 of a planet and gather barrels that need to be brought to the end of the gauntlet. You do not get your vehicles, but there will be a random vehicle on each board. Set up 3 boards in a line. Each board has a cannon emplacement tower on it. These towers can't target you unless you are on them or on the board next to them or at an altitude 3 or higher. You can use the boards of the selected planet in order 1, 2, 3 to create the boards needed. When you leave the last board, you are out of the mission. And a hospital and research station are on board number 2. So that one gives you actually instructions on how you're supposed to create the board. Whereas a lot of these will just be completely and totally random. But you can kind of get the idea. There are lots of these different missions. And you don't have to be squirreled away into what's in the book either. You can just create your own thing. And then I think that's what I'm most excited about as well. I told my players about the fact that we had this and we played through some random missions. But what they were most excited about was going back and actually playing a campaign again in the Battlestations world and having this away mission. And like I said, if you're going to play it like that, if you're going to play a big giant campaign, it is going to be a time commitment, but that is what playing a role-playing game is to us. It's like, hey, we're going to get together on Saturday, and we're going to play a role-playing game for 6-7 hours. And that is a time commitment, and we're more than willing to do that. And you know, this is like, this game, like with these creations, is basically like the dungeon of the week kind of thing. If you're familiar with that terminology in the D&D world, and I'm just excited that like now we can actually get off the ship and do something on the planet as well. So I mean, it's yes, the designer has created a campaign and created a system in which you can play through that campaign, but unlike a lot of other campaign games where like, oh, I played through that, now what do I do now? Like, you have a complete and total ability to just create whatever you want and create a different campaign world and create something that is totally yours and totally new, and you can just keep coming back and playing through, whether you want to just do a one shot, whether you want to put 4 or 5 of them together, if you want to like just see like how far you can get with leveling up your characters and maybe retire as super rich pirates at the end of the day, that sort of thing. It's all here. It's all, you combine this with the base game, and I guarantee you that like that space opera idea, like of a world or of a scenario or of an adventure that you've had in the back of your head, whether you just wanted to be Han Solo and Luke Skywalker yourself and join the rebellion and blow up the Death Star, you can make that now with this system, because of the fact that you can now finally go to the planets and have the adventure on the planet as well. So like I said, I'm a huge fan of Battlestations. I always have been, and I could not be more excited for this. And hopefully, if you've been on the fence or if you're wondering what the heck this is all about, I've kind of helped you out a little bit in figuring that out for yourself. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch this video. It really means a lot. And as always, just be the best version of you that you possibly can. Sometimes it's tough, but I guarantee you, the more happiness and the more love you give to the universe, the more that universe is going to give right back. Leave your comments, questions, whatever. Hit the like button, subscribe, do whatever you like. But until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you, you're awesome. And I can't wait to talk about another game with you again.